Hello everyone and welcome to the back room. In this episode I'm going to repair this Acer AL1916W LCD monitor. I bought a couple of these for £5 each about 5 or 6 years ago. I was looking for some cheap monitors for my Hackintosh and I found these on Facebook Marketplace, and as I said, they were a £5 each and they have served me really well. They have only one connection, which is a VGA in at the back here. You might just be able to see that. And a power port, of course, AC in. And as I said, they've done really well for a number of years now, 5 years or even a little bit more. But for about the past year, they have taken a long time to come alive. In other words, they seem to take time to warm up, almost like putting on an ancient television set. They take time to warm up. I suspect that it's the capacitors. In fact, I know it is because I've already paired one of them. And I thought I would video the repair of this one. Now, I should apologize to my regular viewers. Of course, this isn't retro, really. This monitor's a number of years old now, but it can hardly be described as a retro repair. But I did think it might be useful to anyone who has one of these old monitors, because they can be quite tricky to get into. The repair itself is very easy. It's just some capacitors that need to be changed, but the monitor itself can be quite tricky. There are lots and lots of screws, and yeah, it's a useful record to see where each screw goes. So I'm going to repair this and put it up. It'll just be a short video, and as I say, I apologize to my regular viewers because this is not retro, so please just pass over this one, but it may be useful to anyone else. Now, there are a couple of other YouTube videos showing this monitor being repaired, and they're very good, and they helped me when I was looking for a suitable repair for it. But they don't show the, or forgive me if they do, but at least one of them doesn't show the monitor actually being opened, and that is a criticism in the comments, even though the video is actually a very good video. So I'm going to show you how to open the monitor and get at what it is you need to get to. So without further ado, as a certain famous Mr. Adrian would say, let's make a start in opening it. So you have these 4 screws at the back here. These are machine screws. They're going into metal and not going into plastic. So we're going to undo these. And these are, well, you can see the scale here according to my palm of my hand. It's very easy to mix all these screws up when you come to put the monitor back together. Again, it took me, I was waiting for some capacitors which I didn't have in stock, and by the time I came to put the monitor back together, I'd forgotten, of course, which screws go where. So it can be useful to see the thing being taken apart. Now, as I say, I've already done one of these, and that was a success. So I'm hoping this will be a success too. It has exactly the same symptoms. It takes a long time for the thing to come alive. Okay, now we need to, there's these 4 machine screws here. There's a 5th screw which is hiding underneath here, so we have to remove this stand, and to remove this stand we have to remove this cover here. Right, okay, so the best way to do that is just to push it back on the other one. In fact, I managed to work the spudger underneath, but that one was held on very tightly. But in fact, a little bit of pressure on the back here will snap it off. Hopefully not snap it, but you know what I mean. 4 screws holding the stand in place here. These are machine screws too, but they're larger than the ones holding the panel. So if I just put 2 of these together, you can see the scale there, perhaps. Now, not terribly interesting watching someone unscrew an LCD panel, so I will edit this so that you don't have to watch every single one of these screws being removed. Okay, so that's the stand, and then as you can see, we reveal another screw here, which if you don't remove this one and you try to pry the case apart is going to lead to the case cracking. Now this one is a self-tapping screw. This one goes into plastic, so when you return the screw back to its original place, you want to turn it backwards in order for it to click into its original thread. Okay, so there's the panel, and it's now ready to open, and the way to open it again is to use a spudger gently, plastic one if you've got one. I like to use this steel rule. It has this rounded end and it tends not to harm anything, and you can quite easily work, is that still in shot? You can quite easily work this under the edge here, and you will find as you go around, it's going to get somewhere to get it started, and then you will find as you go around you will hear the snaps, the clips inside cracking as you get it to come apart. Now I'm not taking any great care with this. This monitor cost me £5 5 or 6 years ago, and so I'm not really worried about what it looks like. You might want to take far more care with yours. And there we are, that is removed. Now inside you will see that it has this metal panel covering the electrics. Here we're going to unplug these 4 little connectors here, and they're in the order white, pink, and then black, blue, white, pink, and black, blue. And these simply pull out from the side here, nice and easy. And then we have some further machine screws, and these are really tiny little things, and there's quite a lot of these dotted around the machine, as you'll see in a moment. Or I'd say machine around the panel. Four holding down this metal box. Two holding, and they're exactly the same, holding the power connector in place. So it doesn't matter if you mix these up a little because they're all exactly the same. And now we need to remove the connectors for the VGA. These things. And with those out of the way, this box is now free to lift up. Now, if you try to move it, you will think, how on earth does this come out? In fact, this flap lifts up, and then you can lift this away. These are the capacitors we need to replace, and every one of these is bulging. As you can see, they're leaking very slightly, but every one needs to be removed. The rest of them on the other board, on the other monitor, were absolutely fine. These were fine. That was fine. I did discharge that. And you can see there was just a little spark there. There was a bit of residual electricity held there. Don't want to touch it and get a shock. So now we need to remove this board. Now, This board has 3 of these very small screws, exactly like the others. And then it has one large machine screw in this corner, so larger. And it is somewhere between the others. So that's the screw that holds on the stand. That's the screw from the corner of the board. And that is the screw that is from the back panel of the LCD itself. So 3 different sizes there, but only one of these, and this one goes in the bottom corner of that inverter board. This is now free to lift clear, and we just have to disconnect it here. And this, just working it out from the connector. Nice and gently, and there we are. That board is now free, and this is the board we're going to be working on, so we can set the screen aside now. And the capacitors you want are, there are 2 1000 microfarad 25 volt capacitors here. There are 2 220 microfarad 25 volt capacitors here and here. This one is 1000 microfarad 10 volts. And this one is 2200 microfarads at 10 volts. The desoldering gun is heated up, and it is time to remove these capacitors. So let me just get some fresh caps out. We want 2 of these 220s. One, 2 of these 1000 microfarad 25 volts. One 1000 microfarad 10 volts. And a 2200 microfarad at 10 volts. So put your capacitor in place and bend out the legs just a little to hold it. You can use a little bit of a blob of blue tack or something like that to hold it in place if you want to. And then solder in your new caps. Okay, so once you've got your caps soldered in place, go around and cut off the legs, making a nice neat job of it. And then you can clean up with some IPA to remove any traces of flux. With that done, it's time to put the board back into the case and put the screen back together. So let me just clear up a little. Now the rebuild is a simple reversal of the process you used to dismantle the thing. So first of all, let's put this board back in place. Make sure you don't get any of these pins in the wrong place or bend any of them. There we are. Three of the very tiny screws hold it in place. Now these are machine screws, they're going into metal. They find the thread, they don't have to be wound back. Although it can help to stop them from cross-threading. And then you want the slightly larger machine screw for this bottom corner. There's only one in this size, so you can't mistake it. Now we can wiggle the cover back into place, and remember what I said, you can lift this flap up a little like this, and that will help you to locate the cover. By putting these little connectors for the VGA socket back in place, and also the screws for the power connector, it helps to sit this metal cover and kind of line it up, reseat it. Otherwise you will find that the screw holes don't actually line up terribly well, and you can't get the thing or get screws back into the thing to get it back together. So put these in first, and that will help to line everything up. And with this box back in place, don't forget to plug in each of these little cables. And then it's time for the cover to go on. And this is simply a matter of cracking all these clips back into place, and then don't forget the self-tapping screw that holds the bottom of the case before you put on the stand. And finally, the case screws themselves. And with the screws in place, the last thing you need to do is just put on this little cover here, and this just snaps back into place. And now it's time to test the monitor. Now, if all is well, when I switch on the power, a dialog will appear telling us there's no signal, and the LCD will go into standby. And there we are. Thank you for watching, everyone, and see you next time in the back room.